Okay, curiously, it's another random pile of rubbish. It's not the rubbish time, but someone's put out stuff to be collected by council, which you can do. Nothing wrong with that as long as you tell council. I have noticed a stick vacuum cleaner, and that always gets my curiosity. Let's take a look at what this is. I can see the brand name Hoover there, and I can also see Magic Stick, so I dare say it's called a Hoover Magic Stick. I am curious to see if it's still got a broom in it. I can't hear any broom. I can see lots of dust collected in here. One part of me wants to pull this down and see what's right and wrong with it. Another part of me just wants to leave it as rubbish because I dare say that's what it is. And if I go up to the end that does all the damage, I think by taking a look in there and I'll go in closer, that says much about what this stick vacuum cleaner can and can't do. I've got to say there's a lot of mangled hair in this. It's probably been a home that had a pet. Sorry, it's getting windy. You may be getting blasted on the audio here. But just up here is the all-important thing we want to take a read of. Maybe I'll pull a still here and work out what that says. 18 volt DC, 15 watt. Blah, 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 made in China. I'm not sure how magical the Magic Stick is by Hoover. Maybe you've got one of these. Maybe you can tell me more about it. I always look for wear and tear on these. When you've got something like this, they really get scuffed up around the head area because you bang into things. I don't know, it looks pretty, well, not banged up. Mind you, it is all wet. It's very hard to tell. It is night time. And I think the most worrying aspect to this is when I looked at this dust collection area, for the fact that it's all jagged up and looks blocked up, and I think that's the root problem with this style of stick vacuum. I rarely ever see a Dyson stick vacuum put out as rubbish, and when I take a look at this Hoover Magic Stick, it's very Dyson-esque in its design. It's very much like the old V6 design that Dyson did, especially when I take a look at this, especially when I take a look at the dust collection area. Very, very similar. And also the way the stick connection is done to the cleaner head here. Very, very similar. But I'll tell you what, I guarantee to you that this would not have the performance of a Dyson, and maybe that's why it's in the rubbish pile. Maybe it had a battery issue. That's the problem. A lot of this stuff, the batteries don't last very long. But wow, it's very, very Dyson-esque in the way it's been finished off. Hoover Magic Stick, please tell me if you've had one. Obviously this one's found in the rubbish pile, but it's always interesting to take a look at what's thrown out in the rubbish piles. I better talk about the thing next to the Magic Stick. If you saw it, you're probably saying, oh, I need to talk about the thing next to it because we want to talk about that. Look at this here. It's like a toy. I've got to be careful looking at toys on YouTube because, oh, there'll be a kid's video next and then you're going to get slammed in the face. It's called a Strongbox Home Security. It's got a gun on top. There's another thing to be banned for. It's a toy security truck, cash truck, and it's got like a key code on the back here. And it looks like you can hoard your cash and stuff. Oh, crikey, so I thought I got lucky there. There is stuff in there. I have got lucky. You can hoard your stuff in there. It's like a little bank thing. Okay, let's see if anything comes out. Maybe it's all stuck in there. There we go. Whatever these are. Probably get me into trouble. Okay, there's a Rebel thing here. That's a sporting goods place in Australia. Probably gave away the idea of who owns this stuff. I'm looking at that. But anyway, that's that there because you would have said, oh, but you should have looked at the little toy because that's what we want to look at. It would have made lights and sounds. I dare say there's batteries would have been put in there. Yeah, there you go. It looks like the batteries have been leaking, as batteries do on toys. There we go. I took a look at that. So please, please, please don't whinge. It's just so incredibly difficult to please everyone on this site these days. So hard. Well, curiously, this is the next day, and I came down and I thought to myself, I'll grab the Magic Stick because curiosity was killing the cat with me. But look at this. There's not a magic stick to be found, so maybe it was magical for somebody else. I was curious to look at product reviews related to the Hoover Magic Stick. I couldn't find any, but I did find reviews related to the Hoover Quick Stick, and it looks like these are very, very similar products. Maybe the power head is the only difference between these two models. I hope I'm seeing it right there. Looking over the reviews of the Hoover Quick Stick, there is a very, very common factor that I read in amongst nearly every review, and that relates back to the battery. Let's just remember one scene from this video that relates back to the battery. I am curious to see if it's still got a vroom in it. I can't hear any vroom. One thing you may notice in the reviews is talk about a company called Godfrey's where the cleaners were purchased from. That company has collapsed. It was nearly 100 years old, and they sold vacuum cleaners in Australia and New Zealand, but strangely Godfrey's never sold Dyson vacuum cleaners. And personally, I think that was a big, big mistake. I would love to read all these reviews back to you, but there's one I'm going to pick off because it has an astonishing reply from Hoover. A post from Terry says, "Great vacuum cleaner rendered useless by pathetic product stewardship. Bought the Hoover stick approximately 4 years ago and has been a top-notch stick vacuum cleaner. Purchased said vacuum cleaner on the strict proviso that replacement battery would be available, selecting it over other brands on this condition. Battery replacement from Hoover for this unit is now discontinued. Unit in perfect health otherwise, but slated for landfill unless I pick up an eBay battery." In brackets it says safety questionable, and I'll explain that by saying you need to steer clear of dodgy no-name lithium-ion battery packs from whoever because they can cause fires. Continuing on, to me this just suggests the company has near zero product stewardship ethos. How many Hoovers will join the home brand products in the tip after a similar juncture when all they require for double or triple life is a battery replacement? What's the point of buying a well-engineered product if its obvious failure point is not catered for a reasonable length of time and makes its life near identical to the rubbish one that you didn't buy as you were hoping to cut down on the rate of landfill? Would I buy a replacement Hoover? With a question mark. Maybe when they give me a product guarantee that replacement battery will be available for minimum 7 to 8 years after purchase. Or you get a 50% off replacement model unit, no questions asked beyond proof of purchase. Before we get to Hoover's response to Terry, my simple advice to Terry is go and buy a Dyson Stick Vac, problem solved. You notice in vacuum cleaner shops, I'm not sure how much you'll hear me, they never give you an example of them sucking up the rubbish with a Dyson. I wonder why. Hoover's response to Terry is, "Hi Terry, thanks for your query. We are very sorry to hear of the issue you have experienced with your machine. Unfortunately, if the manufacturer decides to discontinue a product and stop production of parts, sometimes it can be tricky to source spare parts. Our apologies for this. We will be happy to look into this further for yourself. Please let us know the following so we can attempt to find your receipt." It just goes on to explain how to make confirmation of the receipt of purchase, and down the bottom it says, "Regards, the Hoover team." Well, I think I've taught myself something about the Hoover Magic Stick. It's magical, maybe in the wrong ways, and from what I read here, from what other people say, the Hoover Quick Stick quickly finds the landfill piles. I love it, and you know what I always say? China always wins. This video for me took way too long to put together because I was trying to tidy up some really ratty audio. I did speak about what I was up against when I shot this. I was up against wind, I was up against rain, I was up against cars passing by me on a wet road. It makes a really searing sound. I foolishly started to tinker around with some new AI enhancing tools that Adobe Premiere has. It's called Enhanced Speech. And I thought, oh, this will be wonderful. I can press a button and the audio is fixed. I'm going to show you 4 clips. The first one is the raw audio. You need to listen very carefully to the audio. Clip 2, you'll see what the title says, what I've done. And clip 3 and 4. Maybe you'll be amazed, or maybe, like me, you'll stick to your old ways. One thing I notice is that people on YouTube who are showing the new feature of Enhanced Speech
are not picking off complicated audio fixes. They're actually showing really simple fixes that could be done in a very, very simple way. Just be very careful with what people demonstrate online, but that's always been the case, especially if there's a sniff that they're flogging something.
I am curious to see if it's still got a broom in it. I can't hear any broom. I can see lots of dust collected in here. One part of me wants to pull this down to see what's right and wrong with it. I am curious to see if it's still got a broom in it. I can't hear any broom. I can see lots of dust collected in here. One part of me wants to pull this down to see what's right and wrong with it. I am curious to see if it's still got a broom in it. I can't hear any broom. I can see lots of dust collected in here. One part of me wants to pull this down to see what's right and wrong with it. I am curious to see if it's still got a broom in it. I can't hear any broom. I can see lots of dust collected in here. One part of me wants to pull this down to see what's right and wrong with it.